Supreme Court to decide if IRS can secretly obtain bank records. Okay? This is CPA practice advisor. Again, this is not Congress. This is Supreme Court to decide if IRS can secretly obtain bank records. They're set to decide Paulselli versus IRS, whether the IRS can obtain bank records from taxpayers' relatives without notice to help the agency's tax collection efforts, and its decision is expected early this summer. The case raises questions about taxpayer privacy and IRS authority amid the agency's $80 billion in funding over the next decade. And I can continue. In this case, Remo Paulselli owed more than $2 million in taxes to the IRS, and the agency issued summons to his wife's bank and two other banks where Paulselli's law firm had accounts without notifying his wife or firm that the IRS was trying to obtain the banking information. His wife and the law firm argued that the IRS should have to notify them if they're going to send a summons for their information for the banks. The point here is they're more and more figuring out ways to control the decisions people are making. And the way they sell it is in the following way, saying, look, to the average person, do you want to see these guys that are money laundering through Bitcoin? Do you know what's happening with all the pedophilia, the fear of all the things that Bitcoin and crypto is used for? This is one way for us to prevent from illegal purchase of weapons or money, all money laundering, all the. This is why we need a CBDC, because we can catch the criminals easier if we have that. And to the average person who's only got $6,000 in the bank and has got a regular job, let's just say, it's a regular person says, you know what? That does make sense. These rich people have been laundering money for such a long time, and it's about time we find out what they're doing. And a CBDC is something we should do. Being too confident kind of gives those guys strength because they can play their manipulative games until eventually one day you're waking up saying, shit, now we do have CBDC.
Well, I mean, I agree with you. If you're a voter, you ought to not, it should be an acid test. I don't think anybody should vote for a politician in favor of a CBDC. I mean, this is the struggle, control versus freedom that's as old as time, right? In every society, in the history of the human race, every society, there's always people that want to impose control on the people, and there's another group that want freedom. I've been reading Conceived in Liberty, which is Murray Rothbard's history of the American colonies before the Revolutionary War. And it's hundreds of chapters, nonstop struggle. Someone wants to control a colony. They want to tell you what to think. They want to tell you, who God is. They want to define religion. They want to impose taxes. They want to seize your property. They want to tax your property. They want to impose monopolies. And then there's another group fighting for freedom. And it was going on for hundreds of years before the Revolutionary War. I mean, there were monopolies in New York on who could bake, There were tariffs on using the Hudson River to go up and down the river. There were monopolies on who could trade with the Indians. They would give you land, they would steal your land, they would tax the land, people wouldn't pay the tax, there were rebellions. It's hundreds and hundreds of struggles. So it's been going on before the revolution. It's going on in every country in the world. Today, it's certainly going on, and if you have any political power, I think the best way to use it is to support those that trust people are in favor of freedom, because there tends to be, or seems to be, this never-ending tendency of governmental organizations to get stronger, and as they get stronger, they raise taxes, they funnel the taxes into the police state and the control state, and pretty soon it's illegal to bake bread. It's illegal to row up a river. It's illegal to cross the river. It's, if you have land, you have to pay tax. If you paid tax, it has to double. If, the taxes were used, it used to be we paid tax to pay ministers to preach religious beliefs that you disagreed with. And if you actually laughed or kissed your wife on a Sunday, they whipped you. Fined you and seized your property because you were disrespectful to the Almighty Lord. And I'd like to say it was unique and a one-time thing, but it wasn't. It's kind of the history of humanity. So it's going on today. It's reprehensible, And you can't see politicians that will articulate that message that the people cannot be trusted and the government needs to control everything. Luckily, we're in Florida where we have a number of politicians that believe differently. I'm hopeful that we'll see a backlash to the control tendencies in the political sphere that have manifested themselves over the past few years. And CBDC is just one of those touchstones. It's not the only one. It won't be the last one. It wasn't the first one.
So if you like this clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.